Today we're going to talk about cryptography, and we're going to discuss about what is encryption, what are the methods of encryption and the algorithms used. And later on, I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use GPG to generate keys and manage the keys that you have generated to how to encrypt and decrypt messages. So, what is cryptography? Basically, when we talk about cryptography, cryptography basically is a technique or the science of concealing messages or securing information using a secret code. Through the use of the secret codes, the receiver and the sender are more secure. This follows the uh, principle of securing data or securing information uh, to maintain its confidentiality, integrity, and authentication. So, when we are talking about cryptography, we only basically talk about the science behind it. So, which is basically more on mathematics. Now, if you want to apply cryptography, you need to be able to have some methods. So, we apply encryption. So, encryption is the method to encrypt and decrypt data. So, it is the way to encrypt and decrypt data. And there are two types of encryption that we are using today, which is symmetric and asymmetric encryption. So let's talk about first about symmetric encryption. In symmetric encryption, uh, you are going to generate a single key to encrypt and decrypt the data. Usually, it is called also a secret key encryption because the key must be kept secret from the third parties so that even if they catch the message, they won't be able to read it. But basically, in symmetric encryption, when you want to encrypt a document, you're going to generate a single key. So that key will be used to encrypt the document that you want to send. Once you have sent it and received by the receiver, he is or she is going to use the same key, which is the secret key, to decrypt the message that you sent or the encrypted document. When using uh, symmetric encryption, there are different algorithms that you could use. So you could use Twofish, AES, 3DES, DES, IDEA, RC4, Blowfish, and some other more algorithms. So the second type of encryption is called asymmetric. In asymmetric, okay, it is you are going to generate two keys. So usually it is called as public key encryption as opposed to the secret key encryption of the symmetric method. So in asymmetric encryption, it uses a public key private key pairing. Data encrypted with a public key can only be decrypted with a private key. So in this method, say for example, you want to encrypt a document, a plain text document. So you're first going to generate a pair of key, which is called public and private key or the secret key. You are going to use then the public key to encrypt the plain text message so that it turns into a ciphertext. So once you have encrypted it and send it to the receiver, you're going to send the secret key to the receiver, and he or she will be using that secret key to decrypt the ciphertext, which will be converted again to the plain text. In asymmetric algorithm, you could use several uh, algorithms such as RSA, DSA, LGAMAL, and ECC. Now I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use GNU PG, which is a complete and free implementation of the Open PGP standard as defined by RFC 4880. Uh, GPG uh, is or GNU PG is using Open PGP, which is free and open source based on the PGP, which is Pretty Good Privacy. Pretty Good Privacy is an encryption system used for both sending encrypted emails and encrypting sensitive files. So now we're going to use GPG in Kali Linux to check if you have the GPG version, if you have a GPG running on your Kali Linux. You can type GPG dash dash version. But anyways, this command will also work with Windows, any version of Windows like Windows 7 or Windows 10. You can download GPG for Win if you are running it in Windows. But since I'm running Kali right now, so I have already installed it here with my GNU PG 2.2.40 version. So again, if you're using Windows 7 or Windows 10, all the commands are the same, but it differs on the application that you are going to download. So in case of Windows, you're going to use GPG for Win, and in Linux, we are using GNU PG. But the command again is the same. All the commands are the same. So if you want to check if you have a GPG running in your Windows or in Kali, all you have to do is do the command gpg dash dash version. So when you do this command, you'll be able to see the supported algorithms. As it says, there's public key or pub key. So pub key are basically the asymmetric encryption algorithms such as RSA, ELG, or LGAMAL, DSA, so on and so forth, which we have already discussed in the previous slides. So for the uh, symmetric encryption, which is on the cipher part here, you could use these different algorithms such as IDEA, 3DES, CAS, AES, Blowfish, Twofish, okay, so on and so forth. It also supports hash, SSH1, SSH256, and many others. So first, I'm going to show you how to uh, use asymmetric, use symmetric. Symmetric algorithm, if you remember, uses only a single key to uh, encrypt and decrypt the message. So let's say, for example, that I am using, let's say I have a file called file.txt. If you are on Windows, you could use Notepad to create a file or edit command on the command line. Since I'm using Kali, so I'm using VI or Nano or any text editor to create this file. So as you can see, I have this file with a content, where the text content, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So I'm going to use this file to be encrypted, to transform it into a ciphertext. Okay, so the command, if you want to uh, encrypt this using a symmetric algorithm, is using the command GPG dash dash symmetric cipher algo. Okay, and then let's say I want to use a encryption algorithm such as AES 256, which means I'm using a 260 bit 56-bit encryption, okay, using AES algorithm. So, and then followed by the file name that I want to turn into a ciphertext, or I want to transform to encrypt. So let's say the file is file.txt. So basically the command is GPG dash dash symmetric cipher algo to indicate what type of cipher algorithm that you want to implement, followed by the file that you want to encrypt. Then it will ask you for a password or a passphrase. A passphrase can be any character. Okay, so the same as a password. So I'm really using some uh, password here. Then click OK. Okay. So let's see if we have already have an encrypted file. So as you can see here, I have file.txt.gpg, which is now the ciphertext or the encrypted file. Originally, it came from the file.txt. So if we're going to look at that using the cat command, cat file.txt.gpg, you can see, you will see some strange characters. That means that it is encrypted. Okay, so now I'm going to head over to my second Kali Linux, and from there I'm going to access the file from the web browser. Since I already have run Python -m the HTTP server. So I just use this to be able to access the file to the other server. So now, as you can see, I have this one, 192.168.56.105, which is the IP address of my first Kali Linux, where I generated where I encrypted the file and generated the secret key. So when I head over there, so on port 8080, I'm going to look for the file, which is file.txt.gpg. So I'll try to download it. Okay, so let's see on the command prompt. Okay, so the text is too small, so let me try to make it big. So I can't find a way to do that, or maybe we have to zoom out or zoom in. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now I think it's a little bit big. So we'll see if I have downloaded the file. So let me go to the downloads folder, and there it is, the file.txt.gpg. As you can see, the file is still encrypted. Okay, now to decrypt this file and uh, return it back to the original plain text, so the command will be gpg dash dash o for output. Oh, sorry, dash o for output, or you could also use dash dash output if you want. Okay, you could also use that command. So I'm going to use minus o, gpg minus o, and then the file name for the text file. So this is the file that will be uh, the output or has been converted back to the text file. You could put any name here, but I just tried to use the same file. Okay, so the same file name. So I'll use gpg minus o. Minus o means output. File.txt, which is the file that will be decrypted, and then minus d stands for decrypt, and then the ciphertext, which is the encrypted file. So gpg minus o file.txt minus d, then file.txt.gpg, which is the ciphertext or the encrypted file. So when I run that command, okay, so you should be asked for a password, but since I have already done this before, so I wasn't asked for a password anymore. You will, if you will do it for the first time, uh, you will be asked for a passphrase. So you have to supply the passphrase that you have created when you or when you encrypt the file on the other Kali Linux machine. So let's now check if the file is there. So now we have this file.txt. Let's see if we can read it. Cat file.txt. So only this file, not the GPG one. This is the one that has been decrypted. So as you can see, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. I can now read it in a clear text. So for asymmetric encryption, we know that we're going to generate a pair of key, which is public and private, where we use the public key to encrypt the data, and the private key will be used to decrypt. So to do that, we could use the command gpg dash dash full gen key. Now it will show you options on which algorithm that you're going to use for the asymmetric encryption. So in this case, you will notice that in option 1, which is the default, there is an RSA and RSA. So GPG will use one key for signing, and the other one will be used for encryption and decryption. So in this case, if you did not choose any option here, you'll be selecting by default number 1, which is it will use RSA for the key signing, and it will also use RSA for encryption and decryption. In this case, I'd like to use DSA for key signing and LGAMAL for encryption and decryption. So I'll choose number 2. And then you will be asked for the key size. The DSA keys may be between 1024 to 3072 bits long. And take note that increasing the length of the key enhances its resistance to brute force attacks. But in most cases, the default key size is enough to make it more cost effective to bypass the encryption rather than attempting to crack it. So also if you increase the length of the key, it will make the encryption and encryption process slower. So a larger key size may have an effect on the length of your signature as well. So in this case, I will just select 2048 by default. So I'll just press enter. And then it will ask you for an expiry. So please specify how long the key should be valid. Usually we use this to make the key expire for a period of time. But since we are just doing a demonstration, so I'll just use 0 so that the key will not expire. Remember that when you generate the key, it will use the current timestamp in your system. So I'll just press 0. So, and then it will ask you if the key, to confirm if the key will not expire at all. So just press Y. Okay. In this part, you're going to be asked for the real name. So for the real name, you could just simply type your name. For example, in my case, so dito lang Pitok. Okay. And then email address. So for example, I'll use an email that is not really existent. It doesn't matter if it is really existent or non-existent at all. So comment, I'll just leave it blank. Okay. So you'll be asked for the confirmation if you'd like to confirm what you have typed there. So I'll just press O for OK. And then it will ask me for the passphrase. The passphrase again is a password or a key phrase to protect your encryption. So again, I'll type the password. I would suggest that you choose a difficult passphrase to guess. So you know already the rules. Combination of letters and numbers. A passphrase can be lengthy. It doesn't have to follow the exact password rule. It could be one sentence as well. Okay, so now it will generate a key. So as you notice, there is already a public key and the UID here. So as you notice here, the public key SC, okay, it is using the DSA encryption, and for the sub key, which I will use for encryption and decryption, okay, so it will use El Gamal. So a public key that I have selected is use for key signing is actually using DSA algorithm. So if you want to see the keys that you have generated, you can use the command GPG dash dash list keys. So you'll notice here the same output, okay, when we have completed the command. So checking the trust DV, pub or public key is DSA, using DSA for signing. And my user ID is Rizalito Lampitok. So when I want to use my user ID, I would only choose the first name. I don't need to put all the complete name whenever I want to invoke or use my user ID later on when we generate keys, or when we try to encrypt or decrypt the message. So for the sub key, I'm using Elgamal, okay, for encryption and decryption. Now, if I want to check my private key and public key location, I can use the command gpg -- version to find out the folder where it is located. So right here, you will see home kali.gnupg. So let me go to that location. I'm already there, but let me type the path. So home kali.gnupg. And you'll see there is a pubring.kbx. So this is where all the public key is stored. For the private keys, it is located here in private-keys-v1.d. So let me go to that folder. And I found that I have two private keys. If you want to list the public keys, the command is gpg -- list keys. So that lists all your public keys. Now, if you want to list all your private keys, so you have to type the command gpg -- list -secret -keys. So as you can see, these are all my private key, and on the top is my public key. So if you imported some of the keys that you obtain, you can see it from here as well. Okay, just in case you forgot your passphrase, or your key or private key was lost or compromised, you have the option to publish a revocation certificate, so that you can inform others that your public key is no longer valid for use. You can still use the revoke public key to verify signatures made by you in the past, but you cannot use this to encrypt other messages or the future messages intended for you. And also, the revocation will not affect your ability to decrypt messages that were sent to you in the past. So you can still read, or you can still decrypt the messages that was sent to you, as long as you still have the private key. So to be able to create a revocation key, the command is gpg -- output, then the file name for the revocation certificate. So let's say, for example, revoke.asc, then option gen revoke, okay, gen revoke, and then the user ID. So take note that I am not using the entire name. I just use the first name for the user ID. So when I press enter, I will be asked to confirm if I want to create a revocation key, a revocation certificate for this key. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to use 0 for no reason specified, just for demonstration purposes. And I leave the line empty for the optional description. And for confirmation about the reason, I just press Y. Okay. Now, let's see if the revocation certificate has been created. Okay, as you can see, I have here now the revoke.asc. It is very important for you to secure this file, because if somebody got hold of this file or this certificate, they might be able to use this to invalidate all your keys or your public keys. So make sure that you put it in a folder that you only have access. So, for example, I can create a folder, revoke keys, and move it there. Okay. So I put it in the revoke keys folder, and make sure that this folder can be accessed by me only. So just to make sure, I'll create a permission for full access for my account, and for group I will put no permission, and for others also no permission. Okay, so this makes my revocation key folder secure. And we are not going, the next step for this is it should be completed by uploading it to the key server. But since we don't have a key server, the key server will be the one to publish your revocation key. So, but since we don't have the revocation, the key server, so we're not going to do that step. So now let's talk about exchanging keys. So for example, if John wants to send an encrypted file to Rizalito, so John is going to use Rizalito's public key to encrypt the file. It will then be sent on the key server, but since we're not using a key server, we will just be using a web server to share the public key. Then Rizalito, when he received the file, he will use his private key to decrypt it. In this example, I'm going to use my public key to export it. So let me check first my public key. So I'll use the command GPG --list keys. So as you can see, I have here my public key. To export it, the command is GPG --output, and then the exported file name. So let's say, for example, Rizalito pubkey.gpg, then --export using my user ID. So my user ID is Rizalito Lampitok, but notice that I didn't use the entire name. So I'll just use the first name for the user ID. So I'll just press enter, and then let me see if I have the public key. So this is now the public key that is exported. Now I'm going to share this to the recipient so that he or she can use this to encrypt the email that he or she wants to send to me. Now I am on my second Kali Linux machine, which will serve as a recipient. So I have used the Python web server to share the public key. So as you notice here, I have 192.168.56.105 port 8080. And down here, you will find the public key that I exported. So I will download this one and check if the file is successfully downloaded. So as you can see, I have here the file Risalito sa pubkey.gpg. Okay, so the next step is we will try to import this public key so that it will be added to our keyring. To import that, the command is gpg --import and then the file name is risalito-pubkey.gpg, which is the exported public key that we downloaded. Now it looks that it is successfully imported. Now let us see if it is already added to our keyring or public keyring. So again, the command is gpg --list keys to display all the public keys that we have. Sorry. gpg --list keys. Okay, now there is now the public key Risalito Lampitok added to my keyring. Since I am logged on to the second Linux Kali Linux machine, and let us assume that this second Kali Linux machine is used by John or John Doe. So he also have his own public and private key. Now the next step is to validate the key that we have added to our keyring. It's important to validate the key to make sure that this is really coming from him or it's coming from Risalito. So we need to validate it by personally checking his key's fingerprint and then signing his public key with my own private key. So let's say, for example, that I want to encrypt the file that I want to send to Risalito. I have to make sure that the key is really coming from him. So in the process, I also have to add my private key. So I have to add John's private key to Risalito's public key. So to do that, to be able to validate the key, the first step is we need to edit the key. So gpg -edit -key, and then since I want to validate Risalito's key, so gpg -edit key Risalito. Okay, so now let us check the fingerprint. Okay, so to check the fingerprint, the command is fpr. As you can see, you are now on the GPG prompt. So just type the command FPR to verify the fingerprint of Risalito's key. So as you can see, you will see now the primary key fingerprint here. Okay, and then we're going to add our own secret key or private key. So assuming that I am logged into John's computer and John is going to add the private key to Risalito's public key. So to do that, we just have to type the command sign. Okay, then you'll be asked, really sign to confirm, press Y. So you are going to add now the signature or the private key of John to Risalito's public key. That's why. And then you'll be asked for a passphrase, which is passphrase of John, not the passphrase of Risalito. Okay, so it will be the passphrase of John. And there you go. Okay, so you have now successfully signed, validated, and signed the public key that you have just obtained and added to your keyring. To quit from the to exit from the prompt, just type quit. Save changes, press Y, yes. Okay. So to check if the key has been signed successfully by John, so the command is GPG -- list sig. So as you can see here, this is the public key of Risalito, and it was signed by John. So we are now sure that it has been successfully signed. Now let's say John wants to send an encrypted file to Risalito. So let's say, for example, that there is a file called secretfile.txt that he wants to send. So the content of this is, let's see what's inside. So it says hello world. Now, if John wants to encrypt this file using the public key of Risalito, so the command is GPG, okay, -- output, and then the file name or the encrypted file. So let's say secret file.gpg. So take note that I use .gpg, although this is optional. This is just to denote that for the receiver to know that what type of decryption tool that he's going to use. But actually, it is optional, so you can remove GPG if you want. So now this is the encrypted file, and then encrypt to say that I want to encrypt this file. So and then -- recipient. Okay, so who will receive this file? So let's say, okay, I'll put here Risalito, which is the user ID, okay, of Risalito. Then the original file name or the text file. So it's secret file.txt. So here, the secret file.txt will be transformed into an encrypted file. And the intended recipient is Risalito, so I'm using Risalito's public key to encrypt this file. So press enter. Okay. Now, let's see if the secret file.gpg exists. So secret file.gpg is there. So as you can see, secret file.gpg is encrypted. Now, I need to send this encrypted file to Rizalito. So assuming that I am in John's computer. So in this case, I'm going to use again the Python web server. So command is Python, although you're not going to do this in Windows. So Python -m HTTP server, because I'm using the latest version of Kali. So this command is a little bit different from the old Kali. So -b one. So I don't know the IP address, so I need to check first my IP address. 192.168.26.107. So I'll use the command Python -m HTTP server -b followed by the -b to indicate the IP address 56.107. Okay, so I'll have to indicate the port let's say 8080. Sorry. Okay, I think there's a mistake here. HTTP server. Yeah, it should be HTTP server, not HTTP the server. Okay, so now it's running. The Python HTTP server is running. So I'll go back to my another Kali Linux, to my first Kali Linux machine. Okay, so and we'll try to access the second Kali Linux server, which is the John's machine or John's Kali. So I'll use my browser here so I can download the file, the encrypted file. So the IP address, I guess, is 192.168. Let me check again. 56.107. Okay. So now I can find the secret file.gpg from John's computer. So I'm going to download this one. So it will go to my, just save it to my document. Then let me go to my command line, command prompt, cd documents. So there it is. So I have the secret file.gpg, the encrypted file. Now, to decrypt this file, since I'm already in Rizalito's Kali Linux, so I will be using my private key. So Rizalito's private key to decrypt this file. So to decrypt secret file.gpg, the command is gpg, okay, --output. You can use the long form or the short form. If you want to use -o, that's fine as well, instead of --output. So the followed by the output should be the text file, the extracted file, or the decrypted file. So let's say secret file.txt. Okay, so the encrypted file will be decrypted using this file name, secret file.txt, which is the original file name that I'll be using still. And then followed by dash dash decrypt, or you can use also -d if you want, and then the encrypted file, which is the secret file .gpg. Okay, now I will be asked for a passphrase. So the passphrase will be the passphrase for Rizalito. This will be the passphrase using the private key. So okay, so I think I typed the wrong password. Okay, now it's done. Let's see if it is there. So now you can find the decrypted file. Now let's read the file. And there it is.